After 3 years of owning my Subaru Outback Wilderness and driving 35,000 miles with this baby on trips ranging from long road trips, battling mountain passes in the snow, getting to rugged trailheads, camping out of its back many times, and even using it to haul all my belongings in a U-Haul when I moved out here to Colorado. Let me share with you the things I love about this car and the things that I absolutely can't stand, and let's also see if it is adventure ready as they claim. My name is Jake Kaiser, and I'm an adventure lover, and on the weekends you will find me camping, skiing, hiking, climbing, you name it. And I want to start by saying I'm not a car reviewer, but this vehicle has been my adventure rig this past 3 years, and I want to share with you how this car has performed for an everyday person using it for adventure. Let's get started with the best things about the Subaru Outback Wilderness. The first thing I love about the Outback Wilderness is it makes driving in any conditions so easy. Those white knuckle drives are no longer as difficult as they used to be. In addition to tearing up all those difficult conditions, this car drives so poised and well on a paved road. It handles amazing, which was a concern of mine with the lifted vehicle and the chunkier tires, but I don't notice that at all. And when you bring this baby up a mountain pass, it's super fun to drive, and it's also super quiet, which I love as well. I'm also very glad I got the Outback Wilderness because that does come with the turbo, which just adds a lot of playfulness and excitement to this car. The Outback Wilderness is far from the fastest car on the road, but the turbo just adds that little bit of zip and kick that I love when I'm getting on an on-ramp, trying to pass someone on a 2-lane road. The turbo also helps immensely with those high mountain passes that we have out here in Colorado. As the air gets thinner, that turbo compressing the air makes the performance of the vehicle so much better in the high country, which again, might not be necessary for everybody, but if you're living in Colorado or one of the mountain states, is a noticeable benefit. The sleeping area is also perfectly flat, unlike most vehicles, and this baby has been the perfect camping platform for me and my wife on so many adventures. If you're interested in seeing how we use this car for camping, I will link the video in the description, but it has been an amazing camping car. The clearance and off-road capabilities of this car are awesome if your expectations are realistic, which we'll talk more about later. But this car makes getting off the beaten path a little bit easier. The X mode is super helpful in the soft snow and the sand, and the hill descent control is super nice when coming down steeper grades. I do want to state clearly this is not a true 4x4 vehicle, and its clearance angles are the biggest issue that I've run into. This is no Jeep or 4Runner, but it's going to be great for tearing up those Forest Service roads and getting to a vast majority of trailheads. This car also tows great. It's only able to tow 3,500 pounds, but that's perfect for a small trailer. And when I had a probably 3,000 pound trailer moving my stuff from California all the way to Colorado, it went up and over many mountain passes without any issue and towed with ease. I also love the luxury feeling things on this car. This is my first new car, so I haven't had a lot of luxury, but the auto steering headlight, the auto dimming rear view mirror, the heated seats, all these little things make the car super comfortable, and that's in addition to the amazing safety features this car has. The automated cruise control and all of the lane assist stuff works really well and makes those long road trips a little bit easier. Next up, I love that this car comes with a full-size spare tire. This is a small thing, but as someone who grew up on dirt roads, let me tell you, this is a necessity if you're going off the pavement a lot. And it goes to show that Subaru paid attention to some small details when getting this Outback Wilderness package ready together. To round out the things I love about this car, I have to say that I'm a big fan of the styling. I know that this is a little bit more hit or miss for people, but I love the gold accents and that little bit more rugged frame and look that they gave to the Subaru Outback Wilderness. But now let's talk about the cons of the Outback Wilderness, the things I wish I knew when I bought this vehicle, and even the things that can seriously piss me off from time to time. The first con that I hate to break to you all is that this is not a true 4x4 vehicle as we talked about earlier. The only reason I have to say this is I see people looking at this car and thinking they're buying a Jeep or something with a locking rear diff, which is just not the case. This car is not going to get you up the most rugged trails that exist. But with that said, for the average person, this car is going to get you 99% of the places you need to go. And on the other 99% of their driving is going to be much more comfortable, economic, and smooth compared to a true 4x4 vehicle. Like I said, this thing tears up Forest Service roads. As an avid outdoorsman who's always pushing the limits on their adventures, This car's only not got me to the trailhead I want to get to on a handful of occasions, but on all of those, I was within a mile of that upper 4x4 lot and always as close as I needed to for whatever adventure I had planned that day. In the end, maybe I hiked a couple extra miles, but I'm only stronger for it, so can't complain. I kind of want to make a whole other video on this topic, but if you're in the Mountain West, our roads out here are so well maintained, and with an Outback Wilderness, you can get to 95% of the places you'll ever want to go. The next negative about this car, which I'm sure you've heard about, is the infotainment screen leaves a lot to be desired. It's very laggy, it takes a while to boot up, and it just isn't that capable. If you have a full-size tablet in your car, that should be running on the same chip that a smartphone is using and be able to have all the functionality of a smartphone. So for this thing to be a little slow and have limited functionality has no excuse in my mind. With that said, I have to give Subaru some credit that the new software updates that they have pushed have made the lagginess a lot better, the screen starting up faster from what I've seen, and made a little bit of functionality like full screen Google Maps on Android Auto finally supported. This infotainment screen is more of a mild annoyance versus a deal breaker for me. It does operate well 95% of the time, and hopefully these software updates get that closer to 100%. Next up, my car has no USB-C ports, and for when this car came out, that's just crazy as no one uses USB-A anymore. I don't know if they fixed that with the new models, but that is definitely annoying to use an adapter or have a different cord that's only usable in your car. The Bluetooth system also works 98% of the time, but occasionally I have to disconnect and reconnect my phone, which is something that I hope that we can solve in this day and age. The next warning I have for any potential Outback buyers, which is also just a common issue with any modern car, is that they just beep way too much.
Why is it beeping?
I don't need unnecessary beeping. This car not only is beeping with the seat belts, which I understand, but seems to be beeping when the doors open. Occasionally when I close the door, it keeps beeping. Moral of the story, there's just far too much beeping happening on this vehicle. Also, the moonroof for this car is pretty tiny. And if you have a roof rack on top, which I assume a vast majority of Outback Wilderness people will have, to put on skis, bikes, roof boxes, you name it, the whistling due to that roof rack with the moonroof open just makes it so I never use it. With so many vehicles these days having these big moonroofs that cover the entire back of the car, this one just kind of feels like a little add-on that doesn't add a ton of value. To continue our list, the auto braking is super sensitive with this car, which I understand is an important safety feature, but when it auto brakes when you're kind of going near a sign in a curved road, or is braking when someone is obviously turning right and you're just kind of cruising up behind them, that does get obnoxious from time to time. In the end, I'd probably rather have that safety feature for one time when I'm not paying attention, but just be warned, it will trigger from time to time when you're driving normally. The automatic adjustment driver's seat also has no memory, so if you're switching from one driver to another, you have to manually adjust the seat every time. And as someone who takes a long time to get their seat just right, it's really hard to find that right position again when you have to kind of keep adjusting it. That seems like, again, a small thing that would have made a world of difference when you have two drivers for your vehicle. The inside of this car is all very shiny plastic, meaning when you have glary sun angles, the glare from the infotainment screen is going to blind you. And also all of the plastic around it is gonna blind you as well. So during sunrise and sunset, just get ready to have some glasses or be moving around and getting a little creative with your driving position, as this is a glary car for sure. And the last con I have for this vehicle is it is bigger than I need a vast majority of the time. In the end, I wouldn't do anything different, and I'm glad I got the bigger car to be able to sleep in the back, to be able to bring a lot of gear, go on long road trips with a ton of stuff. But I think it is worth mentioning for most of my mountain adventures and my driving, a smaller car, like using the Crosstrek as an example, would be all the space that I personally need. However, I've used that extra space enough for me to think it's worth it. Well, that is the list of the things that have upset me after owning this car for 3 years. But as you can see, they're more minor gripes and annoyances versus major fundamental issues with this car. I do feel Subaru's done something special with the Outback Wilderness trim that makes it excel in so many different places. It's not going to drive as well as a German sports sedan. It's not going to get you off-road like a Jeep would, and it's also not going to be as good for camping as a van. However, if your lifestyle has you doing all these different things and you want one single vehicle, I think it's pretty hard to beat the Outback Wilderness these days. This is the car that's perfect for my daily commute and life, but also allows me to go out and do the adventures I want on the weekends. I truly do love this vehicle and think it is adventure ready as long as you accept its limitations and know what it's capable of. I hope that you learned something from this video and you have a little bit better idea of what the Subaru Outback Wilderness is like to own. And thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on that next adventure.